Welcome to GAMEpoch, the show where I play through the history of video games in the order of their release, starting with Super Mario Bros. I'm MystikDan, and today I am playing through Dragon Warrior on the Nintendo. So, just to catch up on the last episode, I was not sure exactly what the old man had said. I went and talked to him really quick, and he asks if I found a magic temple. If I say no, he says go to the south. And now I'm south of there. If I say yes, he says in the temple is where rain and sun meet. So that seems pretty obvious that I need to come down to the temple down here and probably use both those items, or at least need those items or something. So here's a wyvern, and I'm pretty sure that's a good hint that this is about exactly where I should be at this point. And I think I am at the far southeast region of this world. So this whole section of the world has been explored. It's just the southwest I haven't explored yet because it's really scary. The Wraith Knights and the Rogue Scorpions just really terrify me. But these wyverns and goldmans and stuff aren't too bad. I'm losing a fair amount of health, so I'll need to heal from time to time, but it's not too bad. It would probably be a fairly good idea to level up, but I think I'll be okay. And I saved not too long ago, so I'll just heal up really quick. Oh, come on, give me more. That's good enough. Alright, let's go down these stairs. Aha! Let's see. In thy task thou hast failed. Alas, I fear thou art not the one Urgic predicted would save us. What task? Go now! Well, tell me what I need! What are you talking about? Hold on! Is there anything else in here I need to... Okay, let's use the Staff of Rain. Nothing happened. Let's use the Stones of Sunlight. Nothing happened. Okay, I don't know what I'm missing there, so... Looks like I'm gonna have to come back there later. I wonder if I need something like Urgic's armor. And having that would, like, prove my lineage or something stupid. I don't know, maybe it's got a spell on the armor that only Urgic's descendant could wear or something, I don't know. Well, that's not a good sign for any more progress at this point before I have to grind, so I'm just gonna... I'll just walk in that direction and we can chat for a bit. Hello, Wolf Lord! Doesn't matter. I won't need to use any spells in this fight. That was a sick burn, yo. It's like a vulture wyvern. It's such an interesting design choice. So yeah, one of the things, in the original Japanese version of this game, there were a few graphical and gameplay differences. First of all, the main character always faced the screen. Faced the player. He did not change directions and actually look like he was facing different directions. That was something that Nintendo, who published it in America, they added that, or helped work with Enix or Chunsoft or whoever to add that in. Also, these little shore tiles, like the bit between the water and the land, those did not have the foamy white shore coastline in the Japanese. It was just a hard line between the two. It was a very jarring graphical difference. And in this, they added the little white beach or shore, which is a nice little touch. It helps a little bit. Also, not only did they add the graphical stuff to make the character change directions, but he also looks a little more fleshed out, a little bigger, a little better looking, and a lot of the characters in-game character models look better. So, model might not be the correct term for sprites like this, but, you know, whatever. And that affected the gameplay. So in the original, I may have mentioned this, but because you didn't actually face the direction that you were moving, you would have to choose your menu option and then choose which direction to do that, because you couldn't face that direction. So, very silly, but they helped with that in the American version. Also in the Japanese version, they had passwords instead of the battery save. So While that's advantageous because you don't have to memorize or write down passwords every time you save your progress, the downside is that it's a physical battery on the cartridge, which means someday it's gonna die. Someday the cartridge will no longer work. That is a bummer. And that is why preservation is important. So I might as well take this opportunity to talk a little bit about video game console and hardware preservation. So by the way, if I walk all the way over here, you'll see this little section. Staff of Brain, nothing happened. Didn't expect it to. Stone to Sunlight, nothing happened. In town, someone said that Erdrick in the day made a rainbow bridge over here. Pretty sure that that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Because I think, you know, if you think about it with the map laid out, that little land over to the west of here is probably the section that includes the Dragon Lord's castle that you can see right across the water from the home location. So very fun way of doing that. Anyway, with hardware preservation, so I've mentioned in the past the emulator Heigan, which is a multi-system emulator that includes several Nintendo systems, including BSNES, which is the cycle-accurate and most accurate Super Nintendo emulator that exists. His intention from the beginning, you know, a lot of it was, you know, just to help with compatibility, because a lot of the time, Super Nintendo emulators, and a lot of emulators still suffer from this, they would focus on just making their emulator work with the most popular downloaded games. Because the vast majority of people who emulate only play, like, a handful of games for each system, like the most popular 20, 30 games. You know, your Marios, your Zeldas, your Pokemons, your, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, my battery's running low on my camera, that's not so great. I really wish the battery in the GoPro would last a little longer. I might need to look into finding a better battery. We'll see, but anyway. Oh, for crying out loud, just let me go. And so with that in mind, he realized that when you just write your emulator to kind of emulate the system, but don't be careful to make sure that you really get it exactly right, the way the system actually performs, you're not going to be fully accurate, and therefore you might run into problems, because a lot of games were programmed to work with the way the Super Nintendo actually functions, including strange, unpredictable, or technically buggy behavior. And if you don't accurately handle that in your emulator, your games will not necessarily work right. So, you know, that's something important to think about. And so accuracy became important in order to have compatibility and make sure all the games you will want to run work. And it's better to do that than to run all sorts of hacks in your code to make your game work, because hacky code is, nobody's a fan of hacky code. It's really bad. So he decided to do that, but then he also decided that, you know what, from a legal perspective, it's always been, well, I should save. From a legal perspective, emulation has always been in a bit of a gray water, where emulators themselves are not illegal, and it's probably not illegal to play ROM dumps of your own games that you physically own, but nobody does that. So that's the problem with that. Like, even if you own a physical copy, there's no legal protection to say it's go ahead and emulate it. And a lot of, you know, video game publishers and developers and stuff have a problem with emulation because they feel like that takes away from their profits. Which is like, you know what? If you make your games available to be purchased and people purchase it the way it's available, and so they have paid for the game, there's no logical reason why they shouldn't be able to play in an emulator. Why not? They have paid you the money that they owe you for the game. Just let it be, you know? But that's a whole different argument. But he realized that preservation is important because as he started to get really gung-ho focused on really trying to make his emulator as accurate as he could make it, he started, you know, you have to really closely study your hardware to do that. And that means, like, opening it up, doing all sorts of tests and stuff, and you realize that hardware fails as it ages. And he actually had to run hardware, like several different Super Nintendo systems, through so many hardware tests over and over and over and over again to try to study their behavior to figure out how to emulate them properly. And he's run a few systems into the ground to the point where there's just no using them anymore. But that drives home the fact that these physical hardware consoles are not going to last forever. Never mind the game cartridges, and especially any of them that have save batteries. Those will not last. The batteries will eventually just die. And that's a serious concern. So if we want the original hardware experience to be captured, because even official emulation, like in Virtual Console and Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network and Steam and stuff like that, those are not quite the same, and sometimes those emulation situations aren't quite perfect. So if we want to really capture that, we need to make sure that we have taken very careful effort to painstakingly, accurately represent that hardware, so that that's preserved, and make sure that we've accurately dumped the cartridges of the games so that they're preserved, that they can last forever beyond the life of the physical hardware. That's important, and I mean, not especially for the people that are fans of these old games, like I am, like a lot of you are that are watching this. This matters. You know, we want to have these last in their original form for forever. So there's something to be said for hardware preservation. So anyway, I want to stop this before my battery in my camera dies, but this is a great place to stop because I'm just need to be here to grind anyway. So thank you for checking out this episode of GAMEpoch. I really appreciate you guys checking this out. I hope that the shorter episodes have worked out better. The longer ones were harder for me, and a lot of people said they preferred the shorter ones, so let me know. Comment below, and on Facebook and Twitter. I have both those accounts. They're in the description below, so please let me know. And thanks for supporting me. I really appreciate you guys watching this. So, again, thanks for checking out this episode of GAMEpoch. This is MystikDan signing out. See you in the next episode. Bye.